Yep, I know Brad has as well, but just want to start by thoughts and prayers out to Coach's family, and know the impact that his mom has made on them, and our thoughts or prayers are with them and their whole family. So go ahead and get started.
Bush, is Brock still starting quarterback, and just how do you decide who's going to play here moving forward?
Yeah, we're evaluating everything today. We're getting back with those guys and want to get face-to-face with them again. I know we've addressed it. It was something we were going to do in the game. We knew we were going to do that, so both quarterbacks were aware of it, and we'll address that moving forward.
I know you probably won't know until Wednesday, but expect or hope to get any of the 3 key injury guys back?
We hope so. So we'll see. Again, as you guys know, it's day to day, and just trying to certainly see where we're at with that running back situation, particularly, and continuing with the O-line as well. So,
how do you challenge the offense to continue to push forward despite the struggles and the just losses that are stacking up?
It's always been a 1-0 mentality, and so as hard as that can be, it's really keep the focus, stay within the confines of what we got to get done, and a lot of times that's obviously easier said than done. But I think these players have done a tremendous job with their attitudes and coming back to work every Monday. It's no different. We got to put a plan together for Tennessee and a really good team and take that mentality.
Bush, is there a common thread with some of the issues in terms of punching again from inside the 5?
I think there's, consistency is always something there. I think it's a mixture. Again, I feel like with you guys, I've owned up to it. Are you just going to line up and be able to run it in here all the time? You're not, and so we've got to change that focus a little bit, throw the ball even more when we're down in those situations with the defenses we're playing and how packed they are inside. Again, we attempted to do that one time last week. And probably could have had success with, and then we tried it again at the end there. But I got to do a good job. Starts with me on putting the best scheme together to finish those drives, because that's obviously been a huge frustration for us this whole year. And we got to go execute and have that mentality when it's a yard away, 2 yards away to go get that done.
How did you feel Alec Wood in his first standpoint time?
Yeah, we were, I think he took huge strides against Florida. I think, like any young freshman, certainly just took him a little bit of time to get comfortable, if you will, in this last game. He's a guy we're excited about. He's got a ton of potential, ton of athleticism, and will continue to get better as he plays.
Coach, as you make a quarterback decision this week, is that more about how they looked last week, or what you think the best strategy against Tennessee is going to be?
Probably a little bit of both, and again, I think we're taking into account the whole thing, if you will, how they've looked all year and how we've had them. And again, in some ways last week, based off of our running back situation, impacted that a little bit. But this week will be, again, staying focused on Tennessee and what we got to do to win this game.
Coach, how does your play calling change with Gavin as like a primary quarterback versus just for him coming in for Brock for a play? Like when you gave Gavin that whole second half, did your play calling change at all, and how so?
You always change a bit just based off of their strengths, their weaknesses. Again, the decision to play him last week was, as you guys know, to give him a chance at being in there the whole time and have the opportunity to have the whole playbook, if you will. I think we had been putting him in there to supplement the running backs, to get some quarterback run going, trying to sneak in a throw here or there to keep the defense honest. Again, what he got the opportunity last week, what we got the opportunity of last week was to see him go out there and get the whole playbook and be able to go from there.
Pardon my harsh question, Bush, but do you think Gavin is good enough, and is he prepared enough to lead an SEC team to a win like that?
Look, we're extremely fortunate to have him. I think it's a tough question to ask that from the standpoint of anytime you're a backup or you're the number 2 guy, the limited reps you're taking week in and week out, to maybe go out there in that situation. But as we know, you got to be ready when your number's called. We think he did some good things, and we're just continuing to evaluate that.
Is there any part of it like, well, Brock went down to Ole Miss, he got a road SEC win. Is there a little more comfortable feeling there with him since he's had that under his belt going into this game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, I've said it many times, Brock is extremely steady. He is never too high, never too low. He's a guy that understands what it takes to win in this conference. I think the biggest thing with him is just consistency. And I think in back-to-back games, he's made some big plays. We got to continue to build with him and continue to third down execution, things of that nature, to continue that consistency and get better.
Butch, are you operating under the assumption that either Chip or Demi will be back this week, or is that still going to be determined?
I think it's to be determined, man.
Which you said early in the season, those Wildcat or whatever you want to call them plays for Gavin, you weren't getting looks like it was just a run. Is that still the case defensively? Because it seems like that has gotten less effective, I guess, as the year has gone on. It's not as efficient as it were.
Right. I think for the most part, he's done enough, whether it be the Ohio game or recent games, that people respect his throwing ability. So it's certainly not a situation when he's in there where it's obvious throw situations for us, right? Defenses are still playing guys on the back end, taking away explosives there. But again, everything, I think the biggest thing is just, right, we know exactly where we're at right now, and we're not going to just sit there and do the same thing over and over again and expect different results. That's the offensive line, movement and the different guys we've played there, the running back situation, finding out who can create explosives. It always is going to fall on me, and I understand that in every way. And we're working to actively see who the best rotations are, what we can get done to create more consistency, to create more explosive plays, and that's what it's going to come down to.
Wish I know the plan was to get Gavin in there. How did Brock react to just not playing at all in the second half?
Fantastic. I mean, the guy is everything you want. Everybody knows that about him. He's again, it was important for me to have that discussion with him before the game, so it wasn't a surprise. And ultimately, it was whatever we got to do to win the game, I'm all in. And so there's nobody more that exemplifies what this team is about than that guy. And I very much know, going through similar situations probably in my college career, how hard that is. Like, he's going to come back in the building ready to get back to work and ready to do whatever it takes to go beat Tennessee. And so, but again, I can't say enough good things about him.
Which obviously Dane's been incredibly consistent recently, and Barryon's made some big plays, but you don't have another receiver who has 10 catches. So what can you do to get other guys involved besides those top two?
Yeah, it's never one thing or another, as you guys know. I think for us, and just our evaluation as an offense as a whole, from a protection standpoint, it's been there. We're constantly thinking about how we can do a better job of one, getting the ball out of Brock's hands faster. I think when I look back at it, that's something that's just on my mind, of how we can get the ball out of his hands quicker, and then certainly shoring those things up. Again, I think when you have a guy who's been as consistent as Dane, when you do have an explosive player like Barryon, as you know, it gets harder and harder. Who's the third guy? Who's the fourth guy to get those touches, especially in this kind of conference? And so, we feel good about those guys in that room and what we're building there. Getting those guys touches is important, but we got to make sure we're getting the ball in those other guys' hands as well.
How does this Tennessee front compare to some of the other ones you faced so far this season?
As good as anybody in the conference. So just top to bottom, I think defensively, these guys have game wreckers. And I think that's been the thing. We've seen pretty much every week, gone up against some of the better defensive fronts in the conference week in and week out. And we're prepared, to get ready for another one of the best in the conference this week.
Pierce specifically gets a lot of draft praise. What does he do that makes him one of those NFL talents?
I just think it's one of those rare combinations of length, athleticism, strength. But in some ways, it's maybe similar to the South Carolina situation where there's a ton of talk on him as it is deserved, but the guy on the other side is as good, every bit as good a player as we've seen in the country, and they play a lot of guys on that defensive front, and a lot of guys maybe don't receive as much attention, but this is an extremely talented group.
Bush, how did Patterson and Wilcox play?
it's all relative. I think they did a good job. I didn't think the moment was too big for them, if you will. You got to take into account the fact that these guys are freshmen who are really getting some of their first live action. And so, certainly a lot of things to be improved on, if you will, more so not necessarily with just how they ran the football, but from the standpoint of the protections and handling those things, right? There's just a lot more on the running back than just maybe what meets the eye in the run game. And so, again, we're trying to simplify it for those guys, trying to make sure they know what plays they're in for so they know exactly what they need to get done. And we're excited about their growth.
Which is Brock maybe locking on the receivers a little too much, having trouble with progressions? Is it a matter of not a whole lot of clean pockets? Can you put your finger on them?
I think that's the experience part, in a lot of ways, especially in third down situations when the defense knows, you're in a throwing situation, and the ability for them to disguise coverage and, like you said, getting through certain progressions, and that will get better over time. I think he's in a situation where he's a mature guy. I think when you guys meet with him, he's a mature guy. You're not dealing with a freshman, but experience is experience, and he's going to continue to get better. But I would agree. I think that's something we've talked about in back-to-back weeks, certainly in third down situations and fourth down situations. They're playing man or they're playing zone, and the direction it goes with based off what they play, your progression changes, and the recognition of that's going to be critical for him to take the next step.
At this point in the season, how do you balance offensive consistency, but also, like you said, switching up a couple new pieces to try to make new explosive plays and stuff like that?
The question of how do you balance that?
Yeah.
It's never perfect, right? Anytime you're in a situation where you're maybe midway through the year still trying to figure out who some of those critical pieces are, you do the best you can with it, and I think that's where we're at. And obviously you want to be in a situation where you know exactly who it is, and they've played in the system for multiple years and have that SEC experience. But we're taking one day at a time. I think that's the biggest focus, 1 week at a time. Who's going to give us the best chance to win this game? And with that being said, making sure guys are given opportunities who deserve opportunities and go from there.
You've coached in that stadium before. What kind of problems does that present, especially if you've got young guys in the backfield and at right tackle?
Yeah, I think we all know. You know what I mean? It's a loud environment. This will be, I think, my third or fourth time being there on the road, and but an awesome challenge, I think, in a lot of ways for us, especially offensively. It's critical. The message is we're all we need. The guys in that room, and this is why you come to Kentucky. This is why you play in the SEC. Maybe not to be exactly where we're at right now, but this is the test of all tests. And I'm excited to get back in there with those guys. And that's what it's about. Eliminate the outside noise, get on the road, hostile environment, and go play one play at a time.
Okay, folks. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.